Hello, friends, and welcome back to another edition of Wretches and Wrenches. I'm your host, Stormy Norman, again. Today we got a little side project. We're in my dad's old shop here, and we're going to get my toolbox, which is that ugly one right there. We're going to see if we can't clean it up and make it look somewhat nice again. It's old, it's beat up, but new toolboxes are expensive, so we'll see if I can't clean that up and put it in the new shop so we can work on stuff in there. Roll that intro. So the first thing we got to do, take all the tools out of the toolbox and try and keep them organized so I can put them back in. And I think we're going to hit it with the pressure washer. And then I got some sandpaper. We'll scuff it up, and some cheap red spray paint from O'Reilly's. And we'll hit it with the spray paint. Maybe I'll do some masking on some parts of it. Who knows? It ain't going to be the best looking thing. It's an old, beat up toolbox, but it's what I got. And it's about time it got looking better than it does. Because I've gone online and priced these, and for, they're a couple $100, and I ain't to where I can spend that just yet. So try and make this one look as pretty as we can. But first we got to empty it out and hit it with the pressure washer. We got all that out. I tried to keep it somewhat organized, but there's some of this stuff I'm going to have to go through it and figure out exactly how to organize it. And probably a bunch of this can go in the garbage. Like locking lug nuts, that I hate locking lug nuts. But we got both of them cleaned out now, and we can proceed with the pressure washer portion. So let's get the pressure washer out. All right, we got the pressure washer set up, ready to go. Let's get the blasting and see if we can take off more dirt. Not as much paint, but I'll probably get some paint too. Maybe we'll put some degreaser on it or something to that effect. Some super clean ought to do the trick. All right, we got them all cleaned up, and gonna wait for them to dry. That shouldn't take too long in this floor to heat. It should. That one right there is just about all the way dry. But we'll wait for them to dry up. Please forgive my Mitt Romney sticker there. I was young, didn't know any better. But we'll wait for them to dry, then I'll sand them down lightly, not too bad, and then we'll just paint them. Now, like the rust I exposed on that one, I ain't too worried about it. I'll paint right over that. So, be back when they're dry. Alright, it's pretty well dry now. Going to hit it with this. I'll be honest with you, I don't have a clue what kind of sandpaper does what. This looked like it would do what I needed to do. I'm thinking I need the 80 grit. I don't know. We'll figure it out. 80, that's 50, that's 150. Alright. Let's see what happens. Just a light scuff. I don't worry about nothing other than just making the paint stick. And to top it off, we want to wipe it down with this old oily rag. Okay, it's not oily. It's dirty though. Because who cares? In fact, my dad came home while I was pressure washing it, and he said he might have another toolbox he might give me. So that'll definitely be an upgrade from this one. But until then, let's clean this one up and see what happens. I'm just going to paint the outside. I'm not going to paint the inside. Alright, now that I've got it pretty well sanded, as good as it's going to get, I'm going to go ahead and tape off probably just these silver pieces on the doors. This rusty lock, I don't have a key for it. I'll probably just paint over that, paint over the hinges. They're rusty. But let's see if I can do this. right, she's all taped up. I think she's ready. Let's see what happens. This U-pole, cheapest paint they had at O'Reilly's. This probably is not going to look fantastic, but we're not shooting for fantastic. Apparently I missed the spot. Pressure washing. See how much I can rub it off. I'm definitely not hooking the pressure washer back up. Well, it's still rusty, but at least it ain't faded no more. So we got that going for us. So it took me nearly this whole can to do the small part, and we still got the big part to do. So I think what I'm going to do on that one is we're not going to spray paint the back. We may not spray paint the top, or not all of it. We'll see how far the spray paint lasts. But this seems to be okay for now. It's not perfect because it's rusty, but for now, it'll be fine. So let's move on to the old big section. That's going to be a little bit more sanding, but a lot easier to sand because it's just big open areas. So let's see what we can do over there. All right, we got her all sanded, at least as much as I care to sand it. And we got her taped up in the spaces I want to be taped up. So we're going to finish up this other can, and then I'll go grab the other one. We'll start on the front, and because if we run out, I don't mind leaving the back the way it is. It ain't that important. So let's get started. other one. You see the two-tone. I don't know if it was like that when I got it, because it was pretty old when I got it. And my brother-in-law gave it to me like right after I got out of high school. And but I do know it was sitting where I showed it to you earlier, and this was the only side that faces out. So maybe it, because this sat in there for a good, I don't know, 20 years or so. So that's about the only spot that would have got exposed to the sun, maybe. I'm not sure. Don't matter for long. All right, I'm gonna let that dry for a minute, and we'll come back and touch up the parts that need another coat, and we'll hit the top. All right, so I went ahead and touched up the areas that were a little light. And as you can see, we went from having a rusty and faded toolbox to just a rusty one. So yeah, ain't nothing we can do about the rust spots, and I don't really care. It's an old toolbox. But at least now it's nice and bright red. So I'm going to get it back in the shop. We'll take the tape off, and I'll start putting the tools back in it. All right, let the games begin. take a look. As you can see, still some stuff on the floor. I don't want to put some of this back in there. These are screwdrivers that are like Torx bit and square head. Like, I don't really hardly ever use them. So I think I'm gonna find another box, put those in, and just slide them down there in the bottom. And this is some lug nuts that need to go somewhere. Some locking lug nuts that need to go in the garbage because I hate locking lug nuts. And some old bits and old dried up stuff I don't really need. But down here we're going to slide those screwdrivers. And I've got a pair of gloves in there or whatever. We'll figure. I don't really like this because it doesn't have like a drawer door. It has this thing you pull out, and then sometimes when you got stuff stacked in front of it, you can't open it. So I don't usually ever open that thing. But I basically set it up similar to how I had it before. Down here in the bottom drawer, got my mess of sockets and not very many wrenches. In fact, there ain't no wrenches in there. There's no ratchets in there at all. But I got some in my truck. I guess I need to buy some ratchets or something. But I need to buy some kind of way to organize those, or throw all that away and just buy a new set or something. And all my screwdrivers, I got a whole lot of screwdrivers. I'm gonna put all the smaller ones at the front, pry bar, because that's always needing to be handy. Flatheads over here, Phillips heads back there, and all these little weird ones in the back because I ain't never gonna use them. This was electrical stuff, bulbs. I have a whole ton of bulbs for whatever reason. I'm pretty sure some of those go to Chevys that I haven't had in a long time. My meter, my crescent wrenches, but I don't have anywhere else to put them. Toggle switch, some razors, inverter, and double-sided tape and Velcro and whatnot. Like I said, that's an old toolbox. Hold on. So in here, SAE wrenches, standard wrenches. I got this whole set a couple years ago, and I try to keep it in the thing there so it's not all rattling around here like that. Up here, we got metric wrenches. Like I said, I keep them there so they don't roll around. Bunch of metric wrenches. Then up here we got pliers, and I got snap ring pliers. I'm gonna go ahead and put them in there too. And up top, we got specialty tools, oil filter wrench. This is fuel line disconnectors, pulley removers and installers, pickle fork, file, drum brake pliers, radio pullers, and then wire brush. The calipers are in there, and then this is miscellaneous hardware in there, like screws and bolts and stuff. Some bearings from my Ranger that I didn't use. Actually, they might be from F-150 that I didn't use. This was a little plastic plug that I used to fix my wife's old car. And then whatever that is, some kind of sensor for the Ranger that I didn't need, I guess. And that's about it. But as you can see, it turned out, well, it's not going to win no awards. It's definitely still ugly, but at least it ain't faded. It still got rust all over the bottom, and it's not the best of shape, but it's bright red now instead of being pink or whatever it was before. So I guess at least it'll look good a little bit, kind of. I guess the point is it does its job, right? So that's going to do it for this edition of Wretches and Wrenches. And, you know, I cleaned this toolbox up the best I could, but you can still see all of the old nasty rust and stuff down at the bottom. But good thing when Jesus gets a hold of you and cleans you up, he don't see none of that. Like the other people, you get saved, and other people might be able to point at you and point out your flaws and pick out, well, look at that or look at this, and you know, being a Christian doesn't mean you're, you know, exempt from criticism. In fact, it probably brings more criticism on you because people just want to pick and prod and be like, look, you ain't perfect. And ain't none of us ever said we were perfect. And when you look at me, you know, this morning I was all dressed up to teach Sunday school, and I might have looked all nice and good, but if you look hard enough, you could still see all the rust spots if you wanted to see them. But God doesn't see them. But when He looks at you, He doesn't see those, you know, rust and chip paint that everybody else sees. He only sees the blood of His Son. That's really the only opinion that matters, is what God thinks about you. So that's going to do it for this episode of Wretches and Wrenches. I am Stormy Norman. I appreciate you hanging out with me while we did the most exciting thing of painting an old rusty toolbox. But my plan was just to clean it up and put my tools in it in here and get it out of that old shed. But I was like, well, why don't we just go get some paper, sandpaper, and paint it and make a video of it? That'll give us some content. So appreciate y'all coming along for the ride, even though it didn't quite turn out as nice as I was hoping. But anyway, I'll see y'all next time. And remember, you might regret buying that Ford, but you'll never regret getting forgiven.